What's up, fellas? Serious and silliness bodybuilding. How you feeling, Lee?
I still got a bit of a cough, but I'm getting better. Getting better slowly.
Sound a lot better than last week, that's for sure.
Do I?
Yeah, you sound and look a lot better than last week. I almost felt bad that you were on last week because I could tell you still was sick. And good. And special guest, Coach Rich. What's up, Rich?
What's going on, John? How you doing, brother? How you doing, Lee?
I'm doing pretty good. We're about to ruffle some feathers today, even though
I see. You had to bring on Coach Rich for the token black guy for this topic.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Because two other black guys said, I'm gonna sit this one out. I was like, fuck.
Nothing gets people upset more than two white guys talking about some interracial shit.
Ain't that the truth?
You haven't experienced my life, John. You haven't experienced what I've been through as a white man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. So if you guys hadn't read the thumbnail, basically, I would say in the last 10 years in the IFBB, there's been like this explosion of interracial marriages, couples, but not just interracial. It's been basically just black men and white women. That's it, right? And it's almost like you get your pro card and you get yourself a white woman. You know, I don't know what. I mean, some of the guys have been with their wives for like forever. Like Samson's been with his wife forever. You know. Way before that. Phil Clayhar has been with his wife forever, way before that. But there's a lot of IFBB pro black bodybuilders that white wives. Now, there's one thing that I always prided myself on in bodybuilding is that there really wasn't ever much racism. I mean, the second Mr. Olympia was Sergio Oliva Jr. He was Cuban, but he was really dark. Nobody ever gave a shit. Like, it was always about how you could train. But this is like kind of like a phenomenon where it's just kind of getting together and nobody else is getting together. So I wanted to come on. I just wanted to come on and see if we could get to the bottom of this. I have some ideas. And
is that your camouflage redneck hat you got on there?
Yes. Which one would be better, this one or this one? I mean, I don't know.
I was going to go put my pillowcase on for a minute.
What'd you say?
I was going to go put my pillowcase on for a minute.
Yeah, I was looking for the Confederation flag somewhere. Someone must have had it, but I guess I don't see it.
I'm a Yankee.
I'm actually amazed that you've actually noticed this, John, over the last 10 years in bodybuilding.
How do you not notice it? I mean, all right. I
mustn't look hard enough.
I'm not gonna lie. Before I did this, but I wanted to do this topic for a while, and I never had the balls to do it. Right. So I called a couple of people that I trust their opinion, and actually, Lee, one girl that I trusted her opinion was Lisa. Remember, she had her on her show, Dr. Lisa Alstewy. She had you on her show. I know you've been on a million shows.
Oh yeah, is that the blonde girl?
Yes. Yeah. So I called her up and I asked her. I was like, well, and she basically was pretty like, you're probably going to ruffle some feathers and people are going to get pissed off. But she goes, if that's what you want to talk about, go right ahead. No big deal. She goes, the only good thing is the gossip in bodybuilding doesn't last too long. In a week, somebody else will be talking about something. So I said, oh, that's actually pretty good. And she goes, because she goes, what bodybuilders have white wives? And so I started counting down, and it was like I couldn't stop. So I was like, okay, there's Samson, Sean Clarita, Gareth Baggio, Colossal Ken, Charles Griffin, Phil Heath. I mean, you could just keep going and going and going.
Lee Haney was the only one that stuck true.
What happened?
Yeah,
Lee Haney was the only one that stayed true.
Lee Haney,
right?
No, Ronnie Coleman too. I think Ronnie
and Vicky.
Yeah, Ronnie and Vicky. Then he had a Dominican girlfriend for a while, Ronnie. And I actually knew the guy that married her after Ronnie. And I was like, why the fuck would you want to do that? It's just like you have the greatest. Those are big shoes you got to fill, dude. I wouldn't do that if I were you. But anyway, what it's not so much that it's the black-white thing, but it's so much that those are the only two specific gender and race that seem to be coming together. Black guys, white girls. You don't see it with black girls and white guys. You don't see what pretty much, and I'm speaking general. I know there are going to be people in the comment section going, "Oh, I still with those white." Get it? Generalizing, okay? We're generalizing. So, I think we should change the name to IFBB.
I used to call it back in the day. I was the only white guy in the top 6. I used to call it the International Federation of Black Bodybuilders.
Yeah, I was actually going to change it to I was actually going to change it to IFBBC.
It's true.
Rich, I was going to put it on the thumbnail. And then I was going to put the font bigger and bigger as the BBC comes on.
But it's funny. It's funny you say. I'm not sure I told you this story. I had a friend, right? He used to get caught. People used to call him racist because I used to tell the story that, he was a white guy and that, and even a predominantly white neighbor. And I used to talk to him. He was talking about his, daughter starting to date now, this and that, and somehow marriage come up. And he just mentioned, if I had my way, I'd like if she married a white guy. Now he said, look, I got nothing against Asians, Mexicans, black people, whatever. He goes, but in my preference, I prefer she married a white guy. But if she falls in love with a black man, so be it. And my friends would say, he's being racist. But I'm like, well, why is it other races marry within their Asians, Indians have arranged marriages? And that's called cultural. But if you're a white guy and you say it, you're racist.
You're racist.
Well, you know what, Rich, I'm gonna give you the stage a little bit because you and I had a phone call and you broke it down pretty good yesterday. So I want you to break it down like what we were talking about yesterday as to why this is. Well, we know why it's happened in all sports, but in body,
crazy. I dated some. They'd be crazy.
yeah. We're just gonna get to that. Yeah,
we'll get to that.
But it's been like the last 10, 12 years that's really blew up in the IFBB. So go ahead, Rich.
Well, in my opinion, like I said, I went to a Southern school, South Carolina, and I dealt with racism firsthand. But my point is, at the end of the day, we all know it's marketability sells. What I mean by that is, let's take the overall picture, starting from magazine covers. If you had a super athlete that was black and the top of the top, you would never see him on a sports cover with a black African-American or black female. Sad, but it's just true. Why is that? Because talking to a top magazine, and I won't say their name, but he says black people covers don't really sell. But if you have a black athlete and a white female, blonde, blue eyes, which was the stereotypical type back in the days of that's a perfect image, that's what they want to see. Now, what is the time with black and white females? In my perspective, and I love black women. I love all women. But the end of the day is facts are facts. A lot of, I won't say all black women, but a majority of black women, when they see a black athlete or a star, the first thing they think about is, what are they going to do for me? Buy me this, buy me that. It's more materialistic things. Whereas I've met white females and seen, they'll stand by their man, support them, and uplift them and say, we can do this together, and help them out more, not seeing the material things, say, let's plan for down the road. That's what it is. Now, when it comes to overall business, we all know it's a marketing thing. White, blonde, blue eyes sell. It is what it is.
All right. So, but here's the thing: the magazine thing, I would agree with you if it was 20 years ago.
Okay, now skipping forward now. What's the thing is, you don't see too many black athletes with black females.
Yeah.
Why is that? You'd have to ask them, but from what I can see overall is it's very rare. You're attracted to what you're attracted to. It's not about being racist or whatnot. You're attracted to what you're attracted to, but it's more in the common eye of black and white females or black.
I think it's a number of things, but I want Lee to jump in on it too. Before I jump in, go ahead, Lee.
No, I've never, like I said, to me, I've dated Puerto Rican, Spanish, black. To me, it's like if I like someone, I like someone. I never even really thought about their race or color, even religion. I'm like, I know some people get into religion, and the way I am, I'm not really religious, but I'm spiritual. So I don't think I could date someone that was totally got to go to church every Sunday. If I use the Lord's name in vain, I'm going to hell. So I'd probably have to avoid a total religious nut type person. But as far as people go on skin color and whatever else. It's like, if I like someone, I like someone. I've never once brought in race or anything to the equation. It's just if I happen to be somewhere and that's the person I meet at that time and I fall in love, that's it. But I can see what other people say too, because like you said, I remember even back in the day when Haney and that was champion, you know, even Weeder said back in the day it wasn't about race and that, but he goes, every time he'd put Haney on the cover, he wouldn't sell as many. That's why Arnold would get more covers even after he wasn't Mr. Olympia anymore back in the magazine days. And they put like Gunther Schlurkamp and all these blonde-haired, blue-eyed Dave Draper on the cover, because back then that would sell more just by being on the cover. So sadly, there are those racist elements still out there for some reason. To me, like I said, I got called racist once because my best friend, Kurt Miller, I met him the first day I came to America, and he's originally from Iowa. His father was a minister. Greatest guy you can meet, black and that. But I got called racist once because to me, he was like my brother. We lived together. He come to Australia, lived with me. We did everything together. And people would say to me some days, what's Kurt? I'm like, what do you mean, what's Kurt? Kurt's Kurt. What is he? I'm like, he's Kurt. Now, what color is he? I said, he's black, but I don't see that. I just see Kurt, my friend. Oh, if you don't see his skin color, then you're racist. I'm like, how can I? It's like, I just see the person. Yes, I can see his dark skin, but I don't go, oh, Kurt, my black friend. It's just Kurt, my friend. I don't get that whole, you know, when I first noticed it, I went to a post office once in America, and it's like, you know, the boxes, African American, Hispanic, Caucasian. I always drew a box at the bottom and put human. So I said, everyone has to just do a box and put human and tick that. I said, fuck putting all these categories. We're all the same. Who cares? It's like you get these white people that go, oh, I don't like black people. But then they sit in the sun all fucking day trying to get tanned above the bucket.
Yeah, that's nice politically. That's nice and politically correct, Lee. But there clearly are differences among cultures. I mean, that goes out saying.
Of course.
You know, that, if you know,
even though there is, I think we have more in common than we do that separates.
Yeah,
but
as America, yes, I agree.
The media plays on the divide.
100%. As Americans, we have more in common than the cultural differences. Everybody wants their family to be safe. Everybody has to pay taxes. Everybody wants their kids to be safe. Everybody wants them to have better lives, and so on and so forth. But all right, so I've been thinking about this for a while. Yeah, I've been thinking about this for a while. I know I'm always a goofball, and the reason why I choose to be a goofball, because generally speaking, the court jester is the only one that's able to tell the truth, right? So, all right, in the United States, the black community and the white community are the two communities that are basically kind of do what you want, if that makes sense. Hispanics usually stick with Hispanics, Indian sticks with Indian, Asian stick with Asian, Arabic stick with Arabic, Hasidic Jews stick with Hasidic Jews, and more times than not, that the marriage is actually set up, right, just so they stay in the same community, same tradition, same so on and so forth. Whereas black community is not so, and the white community, you know, anymore is not so, right? Like it used to be that way with Italians, it's not that way anymore. It used to be that way with Irish, it's not that way anymore. You know, and I've seen that in my own community. I'm 48, and I've seen growing up I grew up in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, and it was like if a black guy walked in that neighborhood, he took his life in his hands. Never mind a girl that actually dated a black guy. It was, you know, that was, and then I've seen the changes. I've seen the changes, and I've seen now it's like nobody cares, nobody gives a shit, and basically the parents go, I don't care who you date as long as they're good people, right? Which doesn't happen in other cultures. The other cultures, like I said, they want you to stay within the same culture. Okay. Now, I mean, for whatever reason, that happens to be true. Now, in my opinion, the reason why I think black guys and white girls are getting together, I think there's a couple of things. I think Rich is onto something. I think Rich is accurate, where the majority of black women have this reputation of being they emasculate their man. They you know, they don't need a man. Well, you know, let's face it. You know, the majority of black families in America,
queen, you're gonna treat me like a queen.
Yeah, well, the majority of black families grow up without a father figure or you know, person of authority. So there's no really respect for a man. But the same thing slowly is happening in white culture too. Okay, it's happening in the white culture too, because I see it firsthand, even in my own culture, in the Italians. It's just A lot of the women are dating, are getting divorced, or they're dating guys that are not leaders or have a backbone. The women want to be in control because they're brought up to the same kind of way now. White people are kind of catching up to, I don't need no man. I need to stay independent, and so on and so forth. They're kind of brought up more masculine than men. So white men for the last, I would say about 30 years. White guys in general for the last 30 years or so have basically been told that we're no good, that we're weak, that we have toxic masculinity, that if we talk out of turn in kindergarten, we probably have ADHD and we need medication. If we're brought up with, there's 50% divorce rate in the country, and 95% of the divorces, the women get the kids where the father will see them every other weekend. They'll get majority custody. So then basically what you have, and then 70% of teachers are women. So you have this culture in the last 20 to 30 years that is basically brought up by women, and men don't have a masculine role model anymore, and especially in the white community. In the black community, it's a little bit different because black people, even though the stats are still the same, they're actually a little bit worse, but they still have get your money, fuck bitches, buy a bad car, dress the part, and throw hands if you have to. Okay. So now basically what you're saying is these white men are brought up weak, and they're brought up like, I can't do that. And I've seen it. Like I've seen I know white kids in their 20s and 30s that have never gotten into a fist fight at all. I was having a conversation with King Kamali actually, and his son is 13, has never been in a fight. And when he was talking to his son about that, have you ever been into a fight and so on and so forth? And he said, no, Daddy, I'd never been in a fight. By the time I was 13, I was in a dozen street fights.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that blows me away because
they get in fights today, but it's all on.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
To me, that blows me away. So, and then they're taught to put women on a pedestal. And I don't care what anybody says. That is not a turn on for women. They might say it. Women tell their sons to they'll turn their sons into men that they would never date or never marry in the first place, right?
I actually had a girl that dumped me because I was too nice, and I said goes, we're breaking up. I said, why? She goes, could you do everything for me? Anything I ask for, you give me. And I said, well, I'm happy to do it. She goes, yeah, but challenge. I don't like that. So she dumped me.
Right. Yeah.
But you know what too though? Sorry to interrupt, guys.
No, sorry.
I see your point, John. Your very, very good point. When you touched upon, well, it's the swag that the black African Americans have with the cool pants, the gold chains. And back in the days when a white person would see that, they'd be like, or a girl, they'd be like, I want to rebel. I want that bad boy. That's a bad boy image. I'm going to go against the grain and think I want to go after that. I don't think they're chasing color. They're chasing the attention of what that person is different from what they're used to.
Yeah, exactly.
Or just the white guy with the tattoos and stuff like that. The bikie,
different.
The bikie.
Well, yeah. So I'm getting to that. Now, when I was a kid, Italians kind of did the same thing. You got some money, you showed it. When in the 1970s, 80s, in the Italian neighborhoods, like as soon as my father got some money, he bought a Mercedes Benz. Right? I mean, that they all had the gold chains, and they all wanted to be fucking John Gotti. So those guys still had like swag. Today they call it Riz, whatever you want to call it, right? Yeah. But today's white kids are not brought up that way. They're brought up very mellow. They're brought up not masculine, and the majority of the influence on them is from women. So you're literally creating a kind of a weak man in this. Yeah. So I don't care what anybody says. No woman wants that. Okay. So then you have, you have black guys that still have this very much protective instinct. Okay. Over their women, and the white woman is still like the forbidden fruit, right? It's like
it always will be. It always will be.
It always will. Yeah. So, and then what happens is white girls don't emasculate you right away. White girls will emasculate you over time.
After
10 years into the relationship, you don't know what the fuck happened. You have no clue. right? And I actually did a video on this years ago.
Just ask OJ.
Yeah, exactly. So here's the difference. Let's say you go into a store.
I don't agree with what he did, but I understand.
Oh, I fucking understand too. Holy shit!
Yes. Yeah.
I'm surprised you only slit that guy's throat once. So if you have a black girlfriend, you go into a store and you need to return a shirt, and let's say, for argument's sake, the shirt is 30 days past the return policy, and the guy behind the counter says, "I'm sorry, we can't return it because you passed the 30-day return policy." Your black girlfriend or wife will literally push you out of the way and start screaming in this guy's fucking face, right? And you'll probably have 5 free shirts after that, but you've been emasculated. Now, the difference is your white wife or your white girlfriend will not do that. But when you get in the car, the conversation will go something like this. You know, if I were you, I wouldn't even shop there anymore because they really treated you unfairly. And I wouldn't. And I would never go back there again. I mean, that was just ridiculous that you couldn't get your money back. And you know what? You could have pushed it a little bit more. I mean, you know, and this is the conversation.
Or
it
might be like, you fucking idiot. Why didn't you look at the receipt? Didn't you know it was 30? You fucking little. You bring me in, make me look like an idiot with you. How fucking dare you prick. That's how it would go also.
Yeah, basically. So, and then you have like any TV show or any movie in the last, I would say, 20 to 15 years or so. Mm-hmm. White guy bad, white guy evil, white guy stupid, black guy virtuous. And it's like literally on every Netflix show, every TV show, and so on and so forth. I mean, again, I'm generalizing. Obviously,
the strong women shows they bring out.
Yeah.
All these women are assassins and they're like 5'2".
Yeah, right.
10 men in a row.
Here's another thing that white guys do that I don't even think they realize that they do it. Okay.
It's like
yeah. Here's another thing that white guys do that I don't even think they realize that they do. All right. I don't know. Name me a great football player that played last night. Like, who was the guy in the Eagles that scored all the time?
Hurt.
Who?
The fullback Hurts, isn't it?
Black guy, right? Yeah. Oh, what's his name? Hurt.
How did you know?
Yeah. I think fanboys of bodybuilding and sports kind of don't realize what they're doing when they go, "Well, that guy's a fucking beast." That guy is just fucking ripping up. Look how much that fucking guy. Did you see Hakeem Williams and how much he squats? He's a fucking monster. And you're kind of saying this in front of your white counterparts, your girl, and so on and so forth. And you're going, or when Mike Tyson was the heavyweight champ, would you get in the ring to fight Mike Tyson? How long do you think we would last and fight Mike Tyson? You're kind of putting these guys on this pedestal in front of, the other women. And then I also think that what other things that come into play is I think trendiness. I think trendiness with women is also huge. I think if they want to be part of the club so bad that they will marry whoever also is part of that club, right? And if you think I'm wrong, during September 11th, what did every girl want to date? Every girl wanted to date a fireman or a cop. Yeah.
That's the thing. Yeah.
Every single girl, especially in New York City, it's around September 11th, wanted to date a fireman or a cop. That was it.
That was because they saw how many died in September 11th. They figured if they married one, they could.
Yeah.
This fucker won't be around long. I'll get rid of him.
So I think this is whole combination of things that have happened in the last 20 or 30 years. And then, of course, it's more acceptable now than it's ever been, which is a good thing, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that this is bad. I'm just saying that this is a phenomenon that nobody talks about. I think people are afraid to talk about it. And as far as the other cultures, I think they just stick together more than they do white cultures and black cultures.
I remember my sister used to love Nelly, and I'm like, why do you like him? Well, because he has that Band-Aid on his face. I'm like, when people started trends like that, remember, like people start wearing the hats with the stickers on or the price tag on. The price tag. It's like, that one would have the jacket half on and half off. I'm like, who starts these trends? And everyone just follows these crazy. I like John. I bend a hat like that. I bend it straight down, peel that stupid sticker off it. It's like people just follow the trends. This is the going trend.
Everybody follows a trend, but women follow the trend like to the extreme. Women in America have 85.
You're talking about the Kardashians.
No, just the women in general, not the Kardashians. But also, the Kardashians definitely helped big asses and black guys. That's for sure.
100%. Yeah.
But women in America have 85% of the consumer debt, which means the new Apple Watch came out. Even though you got the old Apple Watch and it works fine, I got to get the new one. The new Gucci bag. The new
you mean the boyfriends,
Well,
the boyfriends and husbands of that women have the 85 consumer debt.
Yeah.
Well, what it is in the business world, we all know women spend more money than men do.
100%. Absolutely. That's the way it goes.
That's
literally 85% of the consumer. Like I ripped a pair of pants Saturday going to my mother's that I had for the last 12 years. I had jeans for the last 12 years because I'm like, they did fine. They're good. They're good. They're fine. I wear them like when it snows or whatever. I had it for 20. Finally, it ripped. I'm like, fuck, I got to buy new jeans now.
But we've all had those girlfriends. Have you had the girlfriends where you go shopping with them and they'll buy a couple of $100, $1,000 purse, the dresses and shit. And then I'll go get a shirt, even just like a fucking cheap Superman t-shirt. And I'll have it, I'll have it in my hand and she looks at me and she goes, do you really need that? You've got enough t-shirts, don't you? I'm like, oh, okay, I'll put it back.
yeah. And
I feel guilty. I'm buying a $10 t-shirt.
And that's what
happened. All the money. I'm like, okay, I won't get it.
And I also think that there is an instinct with women that women instinctively want to date and be with the monster that they can control, the beast that they can control, if that makes sense. They want the guy that will bend the knee to them, but will destroy anybody that comes near her.
Near them.
Yeah. So,
chase.
What?
Chase.
No.
Chase, the rush.
I mean, basically it's the rush, So like that's why
that trained German Shepherd that loves you and gets all over you and licks you. But
right.
when you give it a word, it'll attack anyone.
Yeah. And I think because think about it, when you're in high school and you talk to a girl. Well, when I was in high school and I talked to a girl and she didn't want to be bothered with me, the first thing she said is, "Wait till I tell I'm going to tell my boyfriend and he's going to beat you up." That's the first thing that she said to me. And depending on who the boyfriend was, sometimes I was shitting my pants because I'm like, "Fuck, he's like 3 years older than me, and he's got a reputation of being a psychopath." But anyway,
school teacher.
Yeah, right. And then so that's why movies like Beauty and the Beast and King Kong basically was so great. Because that's basically what it is, a monster that you can control, or a monster, or just a very strong protective person. And black people clearly have that protectiveness more so than white Americans. Now, that being said, in the last couple of years, there have been a tremendous shift. There's a huge shift where white guys are basically realizing it because of social media platforms that are coming out on YouTube and saying, white guys or any guy, this is not how you're supposed to act. Being feminine is not a good thing,
Yeah.
And then you see them joining MMA. You see it on college campuses. You saw a lot of Trump stuff on college campuses. There is a huge shift in young kids that are going conservative. There's a huge shift of young boys going conservative, like Gen Z going conservative. But at the same time, the women are still very liberal, right? Mm-hmm. They're not. The single young women are still very liberal, but there's a huge shift. I don't know if you guys watch Charlie Kirk, but Charlie Kirk would go to campuses and he would have discussions with kids. Now, a couple of years ago when he did this, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, he really had a battle. Like he was like the only one, maybe him and Candace Owens that would do it. But now when he goes on there's a lot of people there's a lot of young kids that agree with them. There's a lot of young kids that have Trump hats and that, and it's completely different. So we see the shift happening. It's not staying like that. And I think with Trump in office, this whole return of masculinity is gonna,
coming back. Well, that's how it should be. And this is going to stir a lot of feathers. And like I said, I've dated black women in the past. I love women in general. My girl's
Me
white.
too.
And deal with people. I don't care. But this is what it is. If you take 6 black girls, so just a number, or any typical black woman, and you go into the mall, the store, and you're buying things, the first thing she's going to say is, what are you buying me? What am I getting? But if you're with a white girl, she'll never say that. She'd be the first to say, hi, this looks good for you. You should here, let me buy this for you. Or they offer to dress you, to look like you. They want to take care of their man. You don't see that too much in black women. And sorry, facts are facts. This is what I've seen. And if you don't like it, who cares?
No, and what's happened, like I said, what's happening, the young white girls, believe me, they're catching up. Okay.
Yep.
They're catching up. They're doing the same kind of thing. I see it all the time. And I call Russian American girls the black girls of the white Americans.
They're no filters. They're straight up. Yeah, they're
Russian girls are like no fucking joke. And bro, I grew up in Brooklyn, and I dated a couple of them, and they it got to the point where I was like, I am never. If I even heard an Eastern European accent, I was out. I was
gone.
Yeah, it was fucking bad, dude. But yeah, man, I think that basically, in my opinion, I think that's what's happening. That's what sums it up.
I think too, the women's movement too, when they started, that whole male toxicity stuff, and then the Me Too movement started, and then, like I said, it was only last Christmas. I was shopping with the wife, and I held the door for my wife. This woman was coming behind her. I was always taught, give up your seat for a woman or whether someone elderly. Yeah. So I held the door for this lady. When she got there, she goes, I can do that myself. I'm
right.
Like, what it's like,
no, Lee, you just reminded me, and I am glad you said it. The Me Too movement also
messed up a lot of things.
The cultures differently. Okay. Mm-hmm. If you notice, most of the guys that got caught up in the Me Too movement were white. All right. Mm-hmm. So like till this day, I won't go up to a white girl in the gym and just start, talking to her. Okay. It did happen to me once. I didn't talk to her, but we caught eyes, and I made a face at her because it was an uncomfortable eye. She was working out in front of me. She turned around. We caught eyes, and I went like this. And usually the girl would just laugh and you just move on. It was like kind of an icebreaker. Well, as I left, the owner of the gym pulls me over and says, "Did you stick your tongue out at a girl here?" And I went, "Well, yeah, if you consider this." And he goes, "Oh, okay, I get it. Don't worry about it. If this thing grows legs, I'll take care of it." But she went to the owner of the gym and told him that made it seem like I was making. Yeah, right. Now, if a black guy does that to a white girl, the white girl immediately will not say things like that because then she will be perceived as racist. Mm-hmm. Right? The mean black guy is fucking, is making disgusting faces at me, right? But she will be, perceived as racist. So when a black guy talks to a white girl, she opens up right away, very friendly and very sociable. And I have friends at work, close. One of my best friends at work, Steve Smith, he's black, and he says every time a white girl talks, I talk to a white girl, and I go, yeah, I know, I get it. And I told him why. I was like, because they don't want to look at you as fucking racist. Where me, I get the roll of the eyes and get away from me. So it does, and it didn't even come close to moving into the Hispanic community. They're still very touchy-feely. Like they're not even like, I go to a gym where it's mostly Spanish, and they're still very touchy-feely in the gym. And even with young
woman at meetings was a couple of years ago now, I was in the gym and that's very true. I'm on about the movies and commercials these days. But yeah, this woman come up to me and she goes, "Oh," and she put a hand on my chest and squeezed it. So I automatically went boom on her boob. How dare you do that? I said, "Hey, you can touch me. I can touch you." Yeah, but that's different. It's muscle. I said, "You're still touching my body."
Yeah.
Why'd you touch it? She goes, "Because it looks good." I said, "Okay, well, I'm not really a booby man, but they look good." So I squeezed yours. I said, "Go call whoever." I said, "The security camera's got it there. You touch me first, so I'm touching you. So don't just think you can touch my body because I'm a male. If I do that to any female, we're up for sexual harassment."
Yeah, no, it happens. It happens to be true, man. And I see it with my own eyes.
Well, like I said, it's in the industry.
They grab the industry.
Say that again, Rich.
It's in the industry. Like I said, Armin touched a great point. Like if you look at nowadays movies 20 years ago, the black guy was the villain, blah, blah, blah. You never seen interracial couples. But now as this Me movement or Black Lives Matter, now you're seeing commercials, interracial. You're seeing now more lesbian commercials. You're seeing, because that's what the agenda is now, to say, well, let's try to fix this by pushing it out in the media and say it's okay. We all know racism will never go away. It's either you deal with it in your way, positively or negatively. At the end of the day is love, but we all know, in my opinion, you guys correct me, I think everyone is racist to an extent, because of the ignorance, not knowing what that person is all about, not about discrimination or color. It's just, well, I don't know enough about that person. So media told me to be on edge. I'm going to be on edge. It's discrimination.
Well, yeah, it's. I mean, you can call it racism, but it's been like that way since the dawn of time. And let me explain why. I mean, it's really simple. If I have a village of 500 people, right, and we have crops and we have women and we have children and we're flourishing, and a stranger comes along, well, what are you doing here?
Who are there? Yeah.
Who are you? Why do you want to be here? Because you know as well as I do that the Vikings, the Mongols, you could go down the list. They just fucking raped, pillaged, and burned, and just destroyed and took whatever you had. And that was common up until what, maybe a fucking 200 years ago, 150 years ago. That was fucking common. So the idea that it's racism, yeah, you can call it racism, but it wasn't. When I grew up and I lived in Bensonhurst, if a black guy came into the neighborhood, it was no difference if a Hispanic guy came into the neighborhood and we didn't know them. Or there's a scene in Bronx Tale where the bikers come into the neighborhood. Nobody knew who the bikers were, right? But at the same time, if you were Hispanic or black, and sometimes that did happen, and you grew up in the neighborhood, you were accepted. You were fine. We knew you.
If you're outside, different story.
Yeah. My parents my father had a friend named Blackie. They called him Blackie. He grew up in the same neighborhood, and he was the only black guy, and they called him Blackie. That was it, man. You know. But yeah, here's the thing with the propaganda that's being pushed with TV and movies and commercials. Again, you only see it's black men or white women. You don't see an Asian guy with an Indian girl. You know, they're not pushing that. You know, you don't see an Arabic girl.
When they're trying to push it too hard too, because I don't know about you, but I can watch any movie. I've watched movies where there's nothing but black people, and I enjoyed a movie, whether it be an action movie or whatever.
Absolutely.
I grew up watched nothing but kung fu movies, the Bruce Lee ones, where
they're fucking great.
Asian people. I never once thought I'm not represented in this movie.
Right.
I need white representation. I'm like,
me either. Yeah.
Enjoy the movie. Just it's like I don't need to see someone in a movie to enjoy the movie. I just look at the movie. It's a made-up story, or if it's a real-life drama. But yet, I'm just watching the movie for what it is. I don't need to. Now, like I said, Hollywood, they've got to have so many people of color. They've got to have so many transgender now. They've got to have so many gay. Just to be considered.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Look how many movies come out before when. Yeah. I think when Django Unchained come out.
Oh, what a movie! What a great movie, man.
They're like, how can you use that word? And Quentin Tarantino said, I'm doing a movie about that in that time, and in that time period they use that word a lot because people are saying you're using the N word too much, but he goes, they used it back then. They were fucking racist motherfuckers with slaves, and they used that word. That's why when someone did a piece not long ago in England, and someone said you don't have enough black actors, and they're like, but there weren't any black people back in this time in England when they had the king and queens, and that there weren't any black people, so how can we throw them in if we're doing a real history timepiece, you know? It's like,
well, I remember one time I went to university, 1991. I just aged myself, but it's okay. And South Carolina, first day registration, I went to the auditorium, went to check in, and I asked the lady, I said, excuse me, ma'am, can you tell me where the soccer athletes go? And she said it nice and calm. She said, yeah, no problem. The N-word, follow the yellow line. And I was like, so I caught me off guard because she said it so nonchalant, just easy. So I'm like, sorry, ma'am. I don't think I understood you. Can you just tell me again? She's like, yeah, no problem. N-word, just follow that yellow line. And that's when I said, okay. Took a step back.
Wait a minute.
What shit is this? Yeah. So I went to sort of aggressive, and this guy grabbed my arm, and I said to him, I don't know who you are, but you need to let go of my arm because where I'm from, we knuckle up for that. And he goes, look in the corner, up in the corner. So I look up in the corner, and it's like, do you see that? I'm like, yeah, the Dukes of Hazzard flag, because grew up in Canada, Dukes of Hazzard flag. That's how I see it. He goes, that's a Confederation flag. You're in a racist state. And that really dawned on me. I'm like, she's just talking what she grew up, what she knows. I get it. I was like, whoa.
It doesn't make it right. It just makes you, You know, it doesn't.
What,
I
know your
get-
surroundings more.
Listen, my mother's 90. She has dementia, but before she had dementia, anytime she saw a black person, she still called them colored. You know,
See,
what am I?
still do? Yeah.
Funny 'cause I was
What am
married to
I
a South
supposed to do? How do I change that at
It was
85
funny
years
because
old?
I was married to a South African girl, and she was like Muslim that as well. But she was coloured, and I'd say, "Doesn't it bother you?" She goes, "No, I'm coloured. That's what I am." And she didn't think of it as a bad word. So if she went somewhere, she'd say, "I'm coloured." People go, "You can't say that." She goes, "Why can't I?" She goes, "I'm a coloured person. I can use the word coloured if I want." So,
Yeah, really.
so sometimes I'd say, "This is my wife," and they'd be like, "Oh, where's she from?" I said, "Oh, she's South African," and that. They go, "Is she black or white?" I said, "Oh, she's coloured." "You can't say that." I said, "Well, that's what she calls herself. What the fuck am I meant to say then?"
Yeah.
Can't win
Now-
either way. Yeah.
Now, this all being said, I think since the black guys and the white girls are getting together, I think the white guys and the black girls should get together.
It's
And
happening. It's out there.
and
You
and
see it, not as much.
yeah, you see it not as much. I think because Cito's married to a black girl, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Well, actually,
So-
I dated this girl, Florence David. If you remember, she was a great bodybuilder, originally from France, and she used to be in Gold's Gym. If you look up Florence David, you might have some contest pictures of her. She had a little braided hair, beautiful girl. And like when I was in the gym, we started talking, but Flex and Chris, everyone tried to hit on her, and she'd just blow them off. The second I started dating her, didn't I cop it and her cop it? You're dating a fucking white boy. I mean, they gave
Yeah.
so much
See?
shit. They gave so much shit to her
I don't
because
think, today I don't think it matters. I don't think nobody really gives a shit, which is talking about the obvious. But
yeah, but
I do think white guys and black girls should get together. And that being said, I've actually told this. I interviewed Linda Murray, and I told her beforehand, before we started, I said, you know, I've always thought you were absolutely beautiful. You are stunning. I told her she reminds me of Angela Bassett. And till this day, I would cut a testicle off for a night with Linda Murray.
She's hot. Smoking hot.
She is.
there's like the
fucking-
black swimsuit, the hair all slicked back.
Oh my God. She came on the screen when I interviewed her, and I was like, Jesus, this woman is fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if Linda, if you're worried, you know, if you I know what I think I'm married. I don't know if you're married, but we could
Still true.
Give me a
what we
shot.
say. We're all
we could try.
like Rich was saying, that woman that used the N-word. I said we're all products of our environment because, like I said, no one's ever born racist. It's all always taught you and shit like that. Because you watch young kids, they can be any race, color. Kids just play together. They don't give a shit
Exactly.
if someone's
Yeah.
whatever. Later on in life, when people go, "Oh, you can't hang out with them, or they're bad people," and then all the bullshit into heads.
Pushed
And now
on you.
this day now, you just got the fucking media. They're getting people, adults, to fight over someone's black, white, different religion. You vote for Republican or
Oh,
Democrat. I was like,
Yeah.
the media now is just tearing people apart.
Yeah.
And people are falling for it. I'm like, people, stop believing the shit on TV, because at the moment you'd think there was like a race war about to start in America because the whole black thing, and then with Trump getting rid of DEI, he wants to get rid of black people and this and that. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's like,
That doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
it's just yeah. I think
we all just get along.
yeah. No, here's what I think. When Obama was elected and he got in office in the States, obviously, that was like when I think it was like the most racially sound ever in the country, because the majority of white people that voted for Obama. And you had McCain, who was a war hero and a really good candidate, and it wasn't like he was a great candidate. And,
His arms up.
yeah, well, because they broke his shoulders in Vietnam. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. The guy spent 2 years in the POW camp.
Oh shit! I didn't know that.
Yeah, and they broke his shoulders in Vietnam. That's why he couldn't raise his arms. Yeah.
Ah.
But then afterwards, after he got elected in, that's when you saw things being born, like Antifa and BLM, and it was like, wait, do they not want, racial,
Save.
Harmony.
harmony? Yeah, exactly. Do they not want racial harmony? Because that was in my lifetime. That was pretty much, what was it? 2000? When was he voted in 2008? I think right. 2008. I mean,
I never understood the BLM riots too, because sadly they would burn down like black-owned businesses, and this black man might have employed 40 black people. They burnt down his business. Now he can never reopen. I'm like, if you're angry at the white man, go to fucking Rodeo Drive and burn the shit down there.
Yeah, really.
Black-owned businesses who are never going to reopen again. Come on.
The funny thing is, the Black Lives Matter movement, it was created by 3 women.
Yeah, three dykes. Yeah, I mean 3 lesbians. Sorry.
It's facts, yeah.
Oh yeah, and then Antifa was born too, you know. And then what happens is, because you have movements like that are brought about, then it is only natural that you're going to have movements on the other side, like what were they called, the Proud Boys, you know. And it's just caused this chaos. And there was a part of me that, I don't know how true it is. I'm just speculating, but there was a part of me that really thought that the establishment did not want racial harmony in this country after that.
They don't.
You know?
They don't.
Like,
It's
divide and
because no
conquer.
controversy. Yeah,
exactly. Right. This ever happened to you? I listened.
It's the divide and conquer, where they just want us fighting amongst ourselves, why they
each other
threw us in the ass while we're not paying attention. It's
right.
Just,
yeah.
It's like when the whole BLM come out, they'd only gravitate towards a big case that was in the news, whereas young black men, kids are being killed every day on the streets of Chicago.
And they don't talk about it.
Los Angeles. It's like, why don't their lives matter? A young kid just going to school on his bike and he gets killed in a drive-by. Why isn't that making the news? Or are you helping that family out there? They only go for the real big ones that are in the news. It's like, it's just crazy. It's like, the amount of people in those areas who live in those neighborhoods where there's a lot of drugs and shit, they're seeing people get killed every fucking day.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. And the media, the mainstream media, has taken a major hit in the last 4 to 6 years. Nobody trusts them anymore. They just lie after lie after lie. The majority of people are getting their news from social media platforms like, PBD or Tim Pool or things like that. And they're going broke. I mean, they're really, really fucking hurting. MSNBC and CNN and CBS, and they're really, really hurting. They're getting terrible ratings. So because nobody trusts them anymore, and they seem just to be this left-wing lunatic. I mean, the things that they're saying now, I know we're getting off track, but the things that they're saying now is just crazy. But anyway, this ever happened to you? I listened to a lot of 1990s gangster rap when I was growing up, when I was in high school, right? And when I'm in the gym, I got my earbuds in. You know where I'm going with this, right? I got my earbuds in, and I'm in the zone working out, right? I'm in the zone, and a lot of times I'm... What you say?
About the word verbalize.
Like fuck. And I remember it came out. I was on a bicep machine, and I remember the song. Wait. It was Roy Jones Jr. came out with an album, CD back in the day, right? Mm-hmm. And
you preacher curl and you're like, nigga bitches.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. That is exactly what happened. And then and there were 2 black kids working out right next to me, and I looked over at them. Yeah, and I took my earbuds out, and I was like, dude, that was the song. And he goes, yeah, don't worry about it. It's fine. Like, they didn't give a shit. They didn't even, But I was like, oh, fuck.
Well, I told you about that one. I tried to find it on YouTube. There was this one rapper. It was only like a couple of years ago. He had a concert, and he brought this kid out the audience, a white kid. And this song, every second word was the N word. So he gets, and he dropped the stage, and they start singing the song. As soon as the kid said the N word, he got security and kicked him out of the concert. He goes, you can't say that. I'm like, that's your song. You invited him to sing your song.
I remember that word for word. Yeah.
Now, I
feel sorry for the kid. The kid's like, what did I do wrong? I'm just singing the song.
Yeah, the N word. The N word was the first word you couldn't say. Then they said you can't say faggot, you can't say retard. The N word is the only one I will not say. I'll still say faggot and retard. And I'm sorry. You can't control my language that much. Give me a break.
Well, I always say, look, I say retard because I am a retard. So I can talk about it. If I'm actually say you're like really retarded, John, like really, and I use the word retard, you don't know what I'm saying anyway. So who's
you're not really offended by it.
The parents that have to wipe up the drool off their retarded son's mouth. Don't talk about my kid like that.
I was talking to a friend of mine at work. I had to work yesterday, right? And I was telling him what I wanted to do, and he's like, that's going to be touchy. And I'm like, it's not going to be that bad. It's all in good fun, and we're just going to, whatever, blah, blah. So he's got a teenage son that's in high school, and they had a report that they had to do. It was a group report. They had to get together with a bunch of kids and do a report. And it was basically anything you wanted to do, but it had to be history related, and it had to be something against the grain. It couldn't be just, the Revolutionary War. It couldn't be anything basic. It had to be something totally against the grain. So these kids got together and they said, we're going to do a report on the good things Hitler did during Nazi Germany. So my friend said, I'm more nervous about you doing that live cast tomorrow than my son doing that project in school.
But the thing was, they actually said before was it Mengele or whoever wrote up the final solution that he signed off on, they reckon Hitler wasn't too bad in the beginning, but then he fucking went like Biden went off with the birds in the end.
Yeah, you take away the Jewish thing, and he was probably a good dude. You know what I mean?
Well, you look at some history books in the beginning, he wanted to get rid of the Jewish people because a lot of them were pedophiles and stuff, and he wanted to get rid of them, but nobody would take them. No other country would take them. So Mengele come out with the final solution. Hitler goes, "Oh, that's a good idea. We'll sign off on that."
6 million. It's fucking insane. But yeah. So I don't know much about German history.
We just say love is love. Love who you want. If you're happy, be happy. And
yeah, we're not saying that. Yeah.
I mean, like in Australia, we have like Aborigines and that, and I've had all types of friends, whether they be Italians, Aboriginal, and we all got along. Because I said they never used the N word down here. It wasn't until American TV came in, I think they started the N word with the Aborigines, but no one ever really cared. So I've never, like I said, anyone I meet, if they're nice to me, I just judge them on their character. I couldn't give a shit what color, religion, where you're from. It's like, if you're nice to me, I'll be nice to you. And I just can't fathom how a racist mind works, to think that you're better than somebody else due to skin color or I can't.
Nah, yeah. I mean, look, like I said,
they think they're superior than somebody because they're white or something. I can't fathom that mentality. I'm thinking, how fucking dumb are you? It's like,
I have at this point. Different. Yeah, at this point in my life, I have so many different friends. You got
a retard friend. Look,
I got a retard as a friend. That's right. I got some, but it doesn't matter. Are there cultural differences? Of course, there are cultural differences, but but you deal with a person one at a time. Yeah. And if you're dating, if you're a white girl and you're dating a black guy, and the black guy's a good dude and he's a hard worker and he's going to take care of you, no problem. And vice versa. If the black guy's with a white girl and she's going to be supportive and she's going to be feminine, she's going to take care of you, you're going to have a beautiful family, go right ahead. We're not saying that. But just saying that in the last 10 years, it's like, but here's the thing. Are the white girls just throwing themselves at these?
I think now maybe too, it's more accepted, because even back in the
day, they're waiting at the finish line.
You go back 30, 40 years, even maybe 50 years in America, if a black guy was dating a white girl, you could get a lot of looks, you get a lot of hate because, well, you're dating a white girl. Like, people said that racism type where you should stick with your own race. So I think now maybe because things are settling down, that people are just going to date who they want. They're not going to worry about what other people think. Hey, if I fall in love with a white girl, I'm going to date her. You can call me whatever you want, say what you want. I'm over that shit. I'm just going to be happy in my life. So
you know what? Exactly. Here's the question for you. But who made it? Correct me if I'm wrong. If I ask you, which made it famous for black guys to date a white girl, what comes to mind? Who made it famous?
Well, OJ comes to mind first.
Right?
OJ comes to mind.
He was the only one back then that was really put out there in that media to say, hey, well, okay, he's with a white girl. Oh, I don't know, but let's go with it. And that's it sparked everything. And then now once what he did or he didn't, like, okay, now we're on the edge and we can't trust black guys now. Like, come on.
Now, here's the thing. I don't know why. Okay. But I'm going to give you guys some stats. I don't know why or what this is. I'm going to have to re-look this up because I can't give you the study that it came out of. But I should have before I did here. But supposedly from studies and surveys, when you have interracial marriages, and you have a black guy and a white girl, they are 200 more times likely to get divorced. But when you have a white guy and a black girl, they have like 40% less likely to get divorced. Yeah. I can't tell you. Yeah. I can't tell you why.
They just get sick of that white girl's bullshit like anything else.
They figured it out.
Hey, I've been married 5 times. I know. Come on.
Well, I mean, the truth.
I've been married to all races.
It's about 50% divorce rate across the country, across America, and 70 to 80% of the divorcees are filed by the wife.
Well, I think a lot of it, how divorce comes down to social media, because back in the day, our grandparents, our parents, yeah, they had problems. They'd sit down and work it out. They'd talk to each other. Now, whether you be a guy or a girl, you're on Instagram and that you post a photo, you're getting all these inbox messages. You're beautiful. You're hot. So as soon as you start arguing with your man, fuck you, get the fuck out. I'll talk to this guy.
They
So
truly,
easy.
they,
So
you know,
to move on rather than
yeah,
fix it.
they truly believe they have a
They
lot
just keep
more.
moving.
Yeah, they truly believe they have a lot more options than what they do because of,
like I said, the chase. It's a chase. When someone gives you attention and they're there, that's my backup plan.
yeah. And I hate to say it, but especially women's attention is women's currency, you know.
Yep.
But as far as marriage, listen, when you get married, and this is what a lot of, I think, the young people don't understand. When you get married, you decide to be married. You know, when they say things like, I'm not happy, nobody is going to be happy for 30, 40, 50 years. Shit is going to happen. Okay. It is the worst things in the world are going to happen. Disease, death, you lost your job, bankruptcy, and you choose this person to go through this with your life. You don't bail because you go, I'm not happy. And that is basically the number one reason.
It's too easy now.
Yeah, that divorce is, I mean, you have no fault. Some states have no fault divorce where you don't even need a reason.
Yeah, I think people listen too. It's like, you know, when you want a girl, like you said, it's the chase, you're going after him, you do all this shit for him, and then you get him. Yeah, for the first couple of years, you keep that there, but then you almost get into a, oh yeah, she'll be there, he'll be there. Like you got to keep that magic alive. You got to keep, Don't just get complacent like she's always going to be there. He's always going to be there. You still got to do shit to spice it up. Go out, have fun. Don't be like, we're just a married couple now, because then that's when they start seeing on social media, well, that looks exciting. Well, that looks
absolutely. But listen, there is no excuse to step out of a marriage. You know, when I mean step out, I mean be unfaithful. There is no excuse. And I don't mean to go Christian, but in the 10 commandments, there are 2 commandments that are repeated. There's one commandment that's repeated twice, and that's being unfaithful.
Adultery. Yep.
Thou shalt not commit adultery, and thou shalt not commit thou not covet thy neighbor's wife. And it means the same thing, because
I told you when people say, have I got any regrets in bodybuilding? I said, the only regret I have wouldn't be bodybuilding, would be when I was married to Kathy LaFrancois, a bodybuilder. Married 5 years, like we were the perfect couple. We almost looked the same. Everyone thought we were brother and sister because they had the same blonde hair. Like we got on so good. But then I went and guest posed and met Adela Garcia. Thought the grass was green. I was in that stupid mind. Cheated on Kathy with Adela, and I couldn't. The guilt was like fuck. And people were like, don't say anything. And my mates, don't say anything. I said I can't. So the hurt that I saw when I told Kathy, because she thought our marriage was perfect, or in love, just the way she fell to the floor in tears, like the hurt I caused her. I said, I'd never want to cause that on someone again, just that by cheating and causing someone that pains.
Oh,
like,
100%.
If you're not happy together, people just separate, go your separate ways, because cheating and that's never going to end well.
Never.
Here's where I disagree with that, Lee. I think this is the first time I ever disagreed with you. I think even if I think even if a married couple, if somebody steps out, work it out.
Yeah, well, she did. She wanted to, but I just felt that I couldn't with myself.
Now, don't get me wrong. You know, what I mean by that is people give into temptation, and like I said, shit is going to happen. You don't, especially if you have children and you have a house and you have a life together. You don't just throw it away. The last thing should be, I'm going to leave and break up my family. The last thing you want to leave.
100%.
The last thing you want to do. I'm not saying, look, if your wife is blowing the whole neighborhood, I get it, right? But there's probably some red flags beforehand, okay?
Yeah.
You know
what it is? Yeah, you're right.
You know, or if your man is, heavy-handed, I get it, okay?
Yeah, not right.
I fully get it. But for the most part, everything else, and you don't have to tell your kids every problem you and your husband or you and your wife have. Your kids don't have to tell.
There's a time and a place. Yeah.
Yeah, you know. And as far as domestic
Like,
violence,
you see that all the time too. A lot, sadly, with a partner will cheat. They'll have children. They'll separate, and then they'll just talk shit to the children, or they won't let the father or the mother
That's
see
wrong.
the kids.
Yeah.
I'm like, if they're not abusive to the kids and they love them, don't use the kids as pawns because
that's right.
Not their fault. Yeah.
I've seen so many fathers commit
Yo,
suicide.
and it's so simple
That's
because
crazy.
it's so passive aggressive. And I'll give you an example because I saw it with my own eyes. Right, when you're married and your husband calls and the wife goes, say, I want to talk to one of my kids, I want to talk to so and so, the kids. They'll say, "Hey, Daddy's on the phone. Daddy wants to talk to you." Once that divorce happens, this is what happens. Your father's on the phone. And what are you telling the kid? Really? You're telling the kid everything you need to tell him without saying a goddamn word. It's just, it is what it is,
You know what it boils down to is communication. Like, I remember back in the days when you dated somebody, that was my girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's oh, that's my summer thing. That's my side piece. That's my my weekend girl. It's like, why does that happen? Because the gift of the curse is social media is a gift and also a curse.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you, hey, Mike R. Thank you very much, man. That means a lot. He says that he learned a lot from this podcast today. I'm going to tell you another stats that's not very popular, and this one's very easy to look up. This is about domestic violence in the United States. The number one couple that commits domestic violence most is gay women.
White guys.
Yeah.
Actually,
Gay women.
I had a chart from my friend in the FBI.
Yeah.
And he had like men and women, and even abuse on children. A lot of it was the mothers. But yet, when I asked why isn't this reported, he goes, because in the media it doesn't sound good because mothers are meant to be nurturing and that. But the women were a lot more abusive sexually and abusive, like physically, to some of the children. Had all the age things and that. And the women, like men, were more in the murder side, that, but the women, as far as the abuse and that, but they said it doesn't sound good, and that's why they don't put it out in the media as much.
Yeah, so it's lesbian marriages. They commit the most domestic violence obviously to each other, right? That goes without saying, okay? Because you think about it, like you have two very emotional women. I mean, even though one seems like a man, she's not. She's still a woman. So you have two very emotional beings trying to live in the same house.
Colliding.
It's just gonna. So like I've had arguments with my wife that's just getting crazy, and what do? I just remove myself. I leave.
I walk. Yeah. I'm taking a time out. I'm gonna give me 5 minutes. I'll come back.
I'll come back 2 hours later. Sometimes I've come back the next day. And then it comes where you have, generally speaking, when you have two women, that doesn't happen. Nobody's leaving. They're trying to get the next word in, and it's just escalating. The next one when it comes to domestic violence is two men, gay men, because they're still men. So what I mean by that is, get your fucking finger out of my face or I'm going to fucking punch you because you're still a man. I'm still married to a man, right? I'm still a man.
My ass.
What'd you say?
What are you going to say? Get your finger out of my ass.
Yeah.
The gay man.
Wow.
I wasn't thinking the face. I was thinking the ass.
So and then after that, when it comes to straight couples, it's usually two very toxic people that are basically hitting each other, right? Generally speaking, there's not one person just pounding. It's usually two people that are fighting each other. And the large majority of, if there is a man that is getting hit by his wife, more times than not, he's not going to report it. And I hate to say this.
Masculinity.
Yeah, absolutely. Most of the time, he's not going to report it. And I hate to say this, but the large majority of domestic violence calls and reports turn out to be fake when it comes to women saying their husbands committed domestic violence.
I used to go on ride a lot with the LAPD, my friends at LAPD and Sheriff's Department, and I'd see it all the time. We'd sometimes turn up and the guy would be beaten up and they're like, do you want to file a report? And they'd say no, but then it come to the point where they put that law in. If they turn up and someone's been beaten up, someone's getting taken away just for safety. So, but I remember one time we turned up, this woman had the shit flogged out of her, bleeding, and
shit.
As soon as my mate goes to arrest him, she's on my mate's back trying to fucking belt him. I'm thinking, he just flogged the shit out of you, and now you're defending him because I think it was she called the police. Now if he gets taken away and he gets out, he's going to be doubly mad at her. It's just like this vicious fucking cycle that I've
This
seen.
is what I mean by that's what I mean by very toxic relationships where they kind of just kind of beat up each other. Don't get me wrong. Are there men out there that pieces of shit and deserve to be buried under my house? 100%.
Oh yeah.
But it's
I don't tolerate that.
No, and you know, and but when you look at the stats, those are actually the stats that you're fucking looking at.
I'll tell you a story.
Go ahead.
Go on.
I was going to say, you hear back in the day too, where I've known guys who would go to report something, and they said when they go in there and they go to file it, the police are like, they almost start laughing at them, going, "Do you really want to file this report?" And that it's like, come on, man up. But the people don't realize a crazy woman, no matter what size she is, they can do fucking damage. If you're just trying to defend yourself and not fight back, they can do just as much damage. It's like when people are on drugs. You might see a guy who weighs 150 pounds to take 4 cops down because they're fucking crazy.
Nobody should be hitting anybody. And guys out there, if you're listening to this, if your wife hits you, if she smacks you, if she kicks you, whatever, throws pots and pans at you, she does not respect you. Period. End of story.
Number one, I don't condone violence. A man should never ever hit a woman, no matter what the circumstances. Even a woman shouldn't hit a man, but it's what we're showing in the media. Like, I'll give you an example. I was out in our backyard years ago and showing my wife how to back then I was white girl, blonde girl I was dating, showing how to defend herself. So I went in the backyard. So I said, "You got to go like this," and I grabbed her to flip her. Someone yelled out, "I'm calling the cops!" Remember? Yeah. "I'm calling the cops. He's abusing her." 20 cop cars came to my house in Hamilton, a white neighborhood. Down to the station, handcuffed me and everything, and they're telling her, "We know he hits you. Just give us. Like, are you okay?" I'm like,
because they don't want to be. God forbid they're wrong. Yeah, right. Yeah, you told me that story once before. That's fucking crazy. Yeah, I know. But yeah, man, it fucking sucks. You know, don't get me wrong. And here's another thing. I know people say men are dogs. Okay,
we're hunters. We are. We're hunters. We're hunters.
Here's the thing. I know people don't want to believe this. Okay, and men are now today's men are more faithful to their women than in any other generation. All right, when I grew up, my father would have been 90. When I grew up, every single one of my father's friends were married and had a girlfriend. Every one of them.
Yep.
I have now. My mother has dementia, so she'll never hear this. Oh, she'll never know. I have a half brother. I have a brother from another. My father's had an affair. Okay, guys used to have other families on the other side of town. You know, it was unbelievable.
That's crazy.
Today, I don't know one guy, whether it's in bodybuilding, whether it's in podcasting, whether it's in my friends at work, whether it's the guys I grew up with. I don't know one guy that has a fucking side chick.
I couldn't do it. I had a mate when I was back in the 90s bodybuilding in Venice. He had a girl he lived with because I lived with him and that. But then I was like, "Where you going?" He's like, "I'm going out to see this girl." And then he said, like, he was seeing like 4 other chicks on the side. I knew about it, so I felt bad living there with the girl he's with. He's just going back to the gym. I'm like, but the stress he was under, I'm thinking, why the fuck do you do this?
Why do you want to do that?
Trying to play him back and forth.
Yeah. Just go get a rub and tug.
Juggle this girl with that girl.
Right?
That fucking stress. Fucking fuck that.
I gotta be honest though. If I was Tiger Woods, I don't think I'd be able to. I don't think I'd be able to control myself.
If you're that rich and the famous, you'd never be married. You'd just play the field, stay single. Yeah. But every time you have a relationship and sex, I'll be getting written documentation or video on it to say you agree to sleep.
Yeah.
That's what it's boiled down to.
You ain't getting to pull that I raped you after the fact.
Yeah.
Like fucking what happened.
But you know, I am never. I am never surprised when I see a rich, powerful athlete or politician or businessman, and it comes out that he cheated on his wife. I'm never surprised because I'm like, you know, what do you expect? Of course, that's what they're gonna do. Do you know what I mean? I mean, is it wrong? It's 100% wrong, right? It's 100% wrong. But you know, do women? You know, it's like, don't act surprised when you marry the most popular athlete on the planet, like Tiger Woods, and then
you're gonna want him. Yeah.
He fucking fucked another girl. You know,
Well,
you could marry.
I always think the guys are dogs, like you said, because what gives me, say you're a famous actor and you know he's married, then you get these groupies that come up to fuck him. They know he's married too, but they don't care.
Absolutely, I don't give a shit.
Sleep with him. They're like, oh, the dog. I'm thinking, well, you're the whore too, because you know he's married and you're trying to sleep with him.
Checklist. Bill Burr said Arnold Schwarzenegger's made checklist whore right down the fucking line, and Arnold took all the. Knew his kids, fucked him in his own bed, and Arnold got all the blame. All right, gentlemen, it's been over an hour already.
All right,
Lee, I'm glad you're doing better. Rich,
yes, the message for today is love who you love.
Yeah. And
most of the time, it's just me loving myself.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
Hey, same here. Hey, we have to love something.
Yeah.
They always say you got to love yourself first before others.
There you go. If you can't love yourself,
sometimes I abuse myself that much. I got to curl up in the shower in the fetal position. I think before the police, I was just raped by who? Myself. Come lock me up.
Lee, this is the 5th time you called this week. Jesus Christ. All right, Rich, thank you very much, brother. I really appreciate you coming on, dude. All right, fellas.
Lee, take care.
Great seeing you all. Great seeing you all.
Later, fellas. Thank you.